Greetings, family. It's good to be with all of you. We're doing this work so that our communities can finally get access to the resources that we deserve and that we've been denied. And the community planning process and these community plans, these just transition plans, are the way to ensure that as resources start to flow, that our communities can access that flow, can tap into that flow. And so to bring resources into our community, we have to tell the story of our vision, of our priorities and the projects, and we have to let the world know the resources that we need. Because if people don't know, they can't partner with us.
Allensworth is in the middle of developing its, official, county recognized community plan. We're in the process of updating it at the same time that this is going on. And so these 4 to 5 slides that we developed are very much informed by the priorities, the current priorities of the community and the community members as well. So the first one slide, powerful punch, is Allensworth, the town that refuses to die. Founded in 1908, Allensworth is the first historically African-American city in California. Our future is beautiful, culturally inclusive, and regenerative. Through a community-led process, we have initiated 10 projects which intersect housing, park, and open space, organic agriculture, and water resiliency. Our need is simple. With 11.5 million in public and a philanthropic support, Allensworth, the first town in California established exclusively by African Americans, was founded in 1908 by a group of men led by Colonel Allen Allensworth. Born a slave in Louisville, Kentucky in 1842, Allensworth became the highest ranking Black officer in the U.S. Army when he retired in 1906. Colonel Allensworth selected a location in southwest Tulare County, which had virgin soil and plentiful water. Agriculture dominated the economy as several farmers moved in or near the township. The town also had several businesses, including a barbershop, bakery, livery, stable, drugstore, machine shop, and the Allensworth Hotel. Town founders established the Allensworth Progressive Association as the official form of government. Townspeople elected officers and held town meetings to encourage civic participation of all its residents. At its peak in the early 1920s, Allensworth had as many as 300 residents. In keeping with Colonel Allensworth's idea of self-help and self-reliance programs, city leaders in 1914 proposed to establish a vocational education school based on the Tuskegee Institute model. Colonel Allensworth died in a tragic motorcycle collision in 1914, and after 1925, the lack of irrigation water took its toll on the community. By the 1930s, the town's population had dipped below 300 as residents and farmers moved away. The second portion of our history has to do with Nettie Morrison. Nettie Morrison was born on March 19th, 1935 in Denison, Texas. She was one of 10 children. Married at an early age, Nettie and her family went on to live and work in New York, San Antonio, Texas, Los Angeles, California, Wasco, California, and finally Allensworth, California. After moving to Allensworth in 1979, Nettie became an advocate for the Allensworth community. She knew the history of Allensworth before relocating there and was a member of the Allensworth study panel that created the Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park. The park was dedicated in 1976, and that's when Morrison closed her pastry shop in Wasco and moved 20 miles up the highway to Allensworth. I love history, she said. Initially, she served as a docent and helped organize a citizens' effort to support the park. In time, though, she turned her attention to the town, and I have been fighting ever since for one thing or another. Allensworth community becomes a beautiful, neighborly, safe, well-served, rural place to live, learn, and prosper. With modular housing inspired by the house kits shipped to the original town, an outstanding school, charming town center with civic center, cottage retail services, vibrant landscapes, and great design and engineering. Sustainable agriculture becomes an economic development engine built on a foundation of healthy soil, advanced practices, and automated equipment with financial, employment, food, and education benefits for the entire community and throughout the region. Promote organic organic food production, and the cultural diversity. Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park becomes a dynamic national attraction, a major employer with first-class travel services. And then regional landscape restoration and conservation become a signature regional amenity with restored ecosystems, forested and wildlife-friendly landscapes that create opportunities for ecotourism, and a regional nature and recreation trail that connects the region's unique attractions and landmarks like the Allensworth Cemetery, Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park, and the Atwell Island Tachi wetlands. Our priorities are Allensworth Progressive Association, capacity building and strengthening, reconstruct the community center, cottage retail services, water supply, quality sewage and wastewater treatment and flood management, existing housing rehabilitation and land acquisition for veteran housing and small organic farms, establish Tack Farm as a regenerative organic agriculture model, learning center, and economic engine managed by the APA, enhancing the relationship between the community of Allensworth and Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park, gain national monument status for Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park and the historic Allensworth Cemetery, and regional ecosystem restoration. Our projects include reconstruct the community center to serve as a civic center, build community college shop offering souvenirs, farm goods, and household basics, self-contained wastewater treatment facility, including recycling and recharge, upscale e-car, which is the electrochemical arsenic remediation technology to complement the community's potable water supply, identify homes that need rehabilitation, and map local real estate for land acquisition for veteran housing and small organic farms, bring Tack Farm under the APA umbrella, facilities for Tack Farm and associated operations, gain national monument status for Cashipp and the Allensworth Cemetery, high-speed rail community forest buffer, and regional nature and recreation trail. And then capital needs. The capital needs, so we estimated that to reconstruct the community center into a civic center that will also include a community cottage shop would come in at around $800,000. Land acquisition, consulting and planning, $150,000. Land acquisition, $4 million. Upscaling e-car, $500,000. Bringing Tack Farm under the AP umbrella, we've left blank because we're in the process of meeting with legal experts to see where we go from here in regards to that and what that may potentially cost. Facilities for Tack Farm and associated operations, $800,000, and that would include rabbitry, operations and maintenance and manufacturing facilities. Quality housing, we've left that blank for a number of reasons. Organizing, advocacy, consulting for gaining the national monument status for Cashipp and the Allensworth Cemetery, around $200,000 for those two campaigns. High-speed rail community forest buffer, $2 to $3 million, and regional nature and recreation trail, $1.5 to $2 million. So that's what we've got. Thank you, everybody, for letting me share that with you.
My name is Luis Sarmiento, and I am part of our community land trust in Santana, Thrive Santana. We're going to just speak briefly about some of what we've been able to come together around so far in our vision for collective financing of community ownership projects in Santana.
So I just wanted to share, there are several groups that are involved in this community-driven, and it's taken years to get us here. We're very happy to be where we are because that's where we're supposed to be. So I'm actually a product of all the organizing and all the folks in the communities that have gotten us here. I am a product because I am a paid community organizer, part-time paid community organizer with Cooperación Santana, and a part-time paid organizer with Thrive Santana. It's taken a lot of hard work to even have paid organizers because a lot of the times the work that we do it for free. We do it because it's needed in order to push our community forward out of darkness and into light, because most of our community who have been affected are folks of color, folks that have been marginalized, the folks that are putting in all the work. And because of these folks, we make the world go round. But we are not part of the decision-making process, and that's what we're pushing for. So with Cooperación Santana, Cooperación Santana is an organization that works to put together cooperatives, meaning that they are workers, but they own their own business. So they're worker owners. In Cooperación Santana, they incubate different business ventures coming from people of color, coming from people of the community. Like for another example, Luz also has her own business. It's called Saboyarte, which also came through this process. And then there's many other examples, beautiful examples that we work with in El Mercadito, where we have people selling their products, selling their food twice a month now, where it used to be only once a month. And that is also part of all these organizations coming together. And it's taken a while, but it's definitely community-driven planning that has made us come this far. And we're very proud of how far we've come. One more thing that I can share is the roles that we play, like in different organizations, is to uplift others. So if you do get a chance, check us out in Santa Ana, because we are all interconnected, like with Crece, with building healthy communities. And it's pretty awesome, like to see like the big picture of how we all come together.
Be quick just to wrap it up and mention some of the specific projects that we have currently. You know, we have this pretty big vision of what we're trying to do in Santana. There's, like I mentioned, myself, I'm part of Thrive Santana, which is our community land trust. There's a big vision around the use of public land in our city. Currently, we've been able to obtain our first piece of land. It's the Walnut and Daisy Community Micro Farm, which we've developed through community participation as a space, or we're going to be developing in the next year as a local micro farm with the participation of several of the local co-ops, including the urban farming co-op Crece and several others. And also another one of our partners that was not able to join today, the folks from Building Healthy Communities, they're taking a lot of the lessons that we've learned over the last 10 years at least around community-driven planning and organizing work to create a curriculum called the Transformative Principles Curriculum that really is, we're making sure that as new folks come into this work, that we're on the same page in terms of our values and the way that we want to do this work. And so they're currently launching that curriculum with new local organizers. They also have an important fund, which is, we feel, is a great example of the type of distribution of resources that we want. It's called the In La Quech Fund, which was launched during the COVID pandemic as a way to support a lot of our neighbors that are in need and are not being supported by any other type of government stimulus or anything of that sort. So we've had to create our own systems of support. We're still doing work to put together numbers around what our needs are. The first number that we've come together around is 5 million to really pursue some of the needs that we have around opening up space for local cooperatives, to resource the idea of a local loan fund and also around emergency needs, and also to support our work around acquiring public land.
The story of the community, the history of Allensworth, the history of Santa Ana, the people in the community who are there, who are moving this plan forward. So giving people a sense of some of the key characters and some of the key moments in the evolution of your community's journey. This is vision-based transformation, because so many people, they look at the things they've done to our communities. They looked at the trauma that our communities have experienced, and all they see is the trauma, and all they see is the deficits. And we want to assert that we have a vision for our grandchildren's grandchildren. We have a vision for the people in place that we're in, and we have solutions, and we want to bring people's attention to our vision and our solutions, right? So that's why we spend so much time in the vision space. And then within that vision, what are the priorities? What are the areas where the community really wants to wants to focus, getting the lead out of the soil, cleaning up the water, housing, whatever the community's identified as the main areas where they want to see progress now. They want to see progress now, and they want to see progress that's going to support, generations to come to thrive. So that's the other piece. And then, what are the projects that are going to, move those priorities forward, and what resources do those projects need?